Rivalry. It marks territory. It sets borders. It's in your backyard. Rivalry is about passion. It brings out the best in you. It can bring out your worst. Rivalry splits families, divides friends, and defines enemies. Now, the fence lines are drawn.
It's Connecticut's turn, down by 1. The Tennessee Lady Vols have handed Gina Oriema's team its first loss of the season.
Huskies with the basketball. Taurasi for 3.
Taurasi is the real deal.
The streak continues, 51 in a row.
It's rivalry week. What side are you on?
You don't need decades worth of head-to-head history to have a great rivalry. Connecticut and Tennessee first met in 1995, but in 9 short years, this has become the best rivalry in all of women's college basketball. Rivalry Week presented by Cisco Systems continues from Knoxville, where the 3rd-ranked Huskies take on the top-ranked Lady Volunteers. Sean McDonough along with Ann Meyers and Mark Jones. They've only been playing since 1995, but this will be the 18th meeting in that time, and Annie, lately Connecticut's had the upper hand.
They certainly have. The Huskies won those first 3 games. 1 was for a championship, and they won the last 4 games. And 5 of those games were in the NCAA Final Four. And 2 players to watch for. Diana Taurasi has had great success against the Lady Vols in those 5 wins and 1 loss. She's averaging 23 points and 52% from the floor. Shyra Ely, really kind of a young pup in those 4 losses. She's a key player, and today she's got 5 double-doubles this year. She needs 1 in this game.
A near-capacity crowd of 23,000 on hand. With the walk-up tonight, it could be a complete sellout of 23,500. Some foul weather outside might be the only thing that prevents that from happening. The walk-up brisk, we are told, in the last couple of hours. There's Taurasi playing with a sore back. Left their game over the weekend against St. John's after just 12 minutes. But Gina Oriema says his star player, perhaps the best women's player ever, is fine. The tip controlled by Tennessee.
Of this generation.
Yeah, thank you. Obviously, he wasn't thinking about Ann Meyers when he made that statement.
There's a lot of great players, and it's like the men's game. It just continues to evolve and change, but she is just a unique player.
Shanna Zolman to the edge of the lane, and then never did get the shot all the way up to the rim. Maria Conlon played it ahead to Taurasi.
Diana Taurasi has really been getting her teammates involved this year, maybe not scoring quite as much, but I look for her to kind of take over this game.
Barbara Turner in trouble for Connecticut. They want a 5 count on the Tennessee bench, and it is turned over by Gina Oriema's team. His starting lineup has Taurasi with Barbara Turner, Jessica Moore, who's been struggling lately, and Strother coming off a career-high 27 points against St. John's, and a 3-point shooting Conlon.
Now that turnover in the shoot-around today, Gina Oriema was talking to Barbara Turner, don't get yourself caught on the sideline and turn it over. And there, Brittany Jackson turning it over. She has stepped into the starting lineup with more and more missing.
Taurasi stripped by Tasha Butts, will have primary responsibility for guarding Taurasi tonight for Coach Pat Summitt, with Eli, Jackson, Robinson, Zolman, and Butts. Her starting lineup, and as Annie said, they're without Lori Moore, their starting point guard, who went down in their game against Duke with a season-ending ACL injury. There's a 3-ball up and good for Brittany Jackson, the junior from Cleveland, Tennessee, with the first basket of the night.
Well, the one thing with Lori Moore out, she gives such great leadership, and on the defensive end, she's tenacious and a good ball handler. But actually, now since the platooning, and there you see the shot by Ann Strother coming right back, platooning at the back court for Tennessee. They've actually, in the last 2 games, not turned the ball over as much.
Playing a little bit more slowly without Moore, who would push the tempo, and as a result, they've been a little bit better handling the ball. But as Pat Summitt says, the trade-off is they don't have as many great quick scoring runs. because they're not running as much. Couple of chances inside. The third time, not a charm for Ely.
Well, Connecticut dropping into that 2-3 zone, and I think surprised Tennessee a little bit. Tennessee trying to stay in that man-to-man. They might switch up into a zone later on in this game.
Moore tipped out the miss by Turner to Taurasi, who buries a three. He's an outstanding three-point shooter at 42%. Best in the Big East Conference, one of the best in the nation.
And Gino Auriemma said in this game today at practice, you'll see a lot of three-pointer shots.
Brittany Jackson a miss, out of bounds to Connecticut. Sally Bell, Wesley Dean, John Morningstar, the officials. They're part of the story tonight, Mark Jones.
Yeah, they certainly are. You know, last year, Taurasi shot 146 free throws. This year, she's on pace to shoot just 106. Now, that's a problem with Gino Auriemma, who says that the officials aren't giving Taurasi the respect that she deserves. He says his next move is to put together a videotape of the muggings and physical abuse that Taurasi's taken and send it to the NCAA as well as the Big East. Ironically, Sally Bell, one of the officials today, guys, is the last referee to give Gino his last 2 technical fouls. Back to you.
And when we spoke with Gino before the game this morning, and he said the officiating will not decide this game. It won't be a factor. Then in the next sentence, he said, of the last 20 games we've lost, Sally Bell has officiated 8 of them. So it is at least in the back of his mind, and he has the numbers right on the tip of his tongue.
Well, but as Pat Summitt also said, to reiterate as far as contradicting that statement, saying, you know, great players are going to get double-teamed and bumped and just harassed. She had 2 great players in Shamika Holzclaw and Tamika Catchings, that the same thing happened to them. And when you hear somebody like Taurasi, you have to expect it. You're hoping that the officials will call something, but they don't call it all the time.
Shanna Zolman, the last basket for Tennessee. She's their number 2 scorer at 12 a game. And the answer at the other end by Barbara Turner, the sophomore from Cleveland, Ohio.
Right now, Connecticut doing a better job getting the ball inside against the defense, and Tennessee now against his trap. As you said, slowing the ball up a little bit more. In the half-court game, they're looking to play it a little bit more. It's not being pushed up with Lori Moore in there.
Low shooting start for Tennessee, but that'll help the percentage.
Nice penetration by Tye'sha Butts.
And she dumped it off to Ashley Robinson to get Tennessee back within 1. A foul, and Turner will go back to the line.
Tye'sha Butts, a 5'11" senior, gets dribble penetration inside, and Ashley Robinson breaking to the basket with a nice bounce pass. And Robinson has been steady. She's been more consistent. She has struggled from the free throw line, but she is a force on the defensive end for the Lady Vols. But offensively, she's got to get more points for them.
Turner didn't get the first one to drop. She's a 71% free throw shooter, averaging 13 per game. She's their second leading scorer behind Taurasi's 17.5 per game.
She has struggled as of late. Good rebound by Jessica Moore. And I think right now both teams know that they've got to go to the offensive glass. We've seen Tennessee hit the offensive boards. They've missed the shots, and Connecticut Moore missing that one, though.
2 misses at the line from Turner, then Strother the foul after the miss by Jessica Moore, and a timeout.
ESPN2's exclusive presentation of Rivalry Week is presented by Cisco Systems. This is the power of the network. Now.
And welcome back to Knoxville, where Connecticut leads Tennessee 8-7 at our first timeout. Sean McDonough along with Ann Meyers and Mark Jones at courtside. Delighted to have you with us. And hard to believe it's been just 9 years since they started playing each other, because it seems like they've been playing forever. But this has done a tremendous amount, this rivalry for women's college basketball.
It really has. You go back to 1995 when the first game was played back in Stores, and that was the year that Connecticut went undefeated. They won their first national championship, and between these two teams, they have, these two coaches, they have 10 national championships. Pat Summitt with 6, Gino Auriemma with 4. Pat Summitt has 3 in a row, 96, 97, 98, and Gino Auriemma is looking for his 3rd in a row this year. He's won 2 in a row.
Well, Tennessee hasn't won one in 6 years, so they'd like to get back to the championship podium.
He got beat in the finals last year against Connecticut.
Blocking foul called, and it's against Ashley Battle, who just came off the Connecticut bench. Well, how close is the rivalry between these two coaches? A lot closer than their relationship, and we'll talk about that as we go. They are in the battle for all-time winningest coach by percentage, and you saw that you have to go out 5 numbers beyond the decimal point.
Yeah, and the fact that Pat Summitt has over 300 more wins. But they're both tremendous coaches as far as what they've achieved at the universities.
Among active coaches, they are 1 and 2. Pat Summitt far and away the leader over Gino Auriemma in wins, but she's been coaching a lot longer.
Well, Gino Auriemma upset about the call from his player, in the sense of, you got to think, Zolman, an outside shooter. One thing she's developed this year is last year she was known as a three-point shooter. Leads the nation in free throw shooting percentage, as a matter of fact, but has taken a lot of outside shots. So this year she's developed that little pump fake, Sean, and then she takes that one dribble. Well, Gino Auriemma wants her to put it on the floor, make her beat you with that dribble, because sometimes it's a tougher shot when you're on the move and you're not used to taking it.
Well, surprised that she made both. The foul on Taurasi was her first, and now some full court pressure from Tennessee. Battle got it to Strother. Handled well by UConn. Taurasi wide open for 3. Wilmette Crockett just off the bench with the offensive rebound, and then a foul on Ashley Robinson. Her second personal foul.
Wilmette Crockett missed the first 18 games with an ankle injury, that left ankle. And I mean, I was talking to Diana Taurasi before the game, and she said, Crockett's a beast. I mean, she just goes after the board. She's 6'2", sophomore. She is strong as an ox.
And Gino Auriemma is looking for more from his inside players. We talked to him this morning. He said our post players have been horrible, the word he used. Gino,
he doesn't mix words.
No.
He says it like it is. I love his honesty.
He was booed rather lustily when he was introduced here tonight. He started his palms out to the side and looked around the arena as if to say, "Why are you booing me like that? I'm a nice guy."
Well, he and Pat Summitt did shake hands before the game.
With ice cubes dangling. Pat Summitt in Sports Illustrated's profile of each state, when they wrote a couple of articles about the state of Connecticut, and they polled people in that state who is the #1 enemy of the state in sports, Pat Summitt was the choice of the Nutmeg State with 28% of the vote. Crockett called for the foul, her first. They don't like her in Connecticut, but they love her here, understandably so, after 839 wins.
Her 30th year.
She's only a couple ahead on the win total of Jody Conrad of Texas. So she's going to battle for the percentage lead with Gino Auriemma among active coaches, and in a battle with Jody Conrad to be the #1 coach in women's basketball all time in total victories. Nice move inside by Barbara Turner.
I can really see her passing Dean Smith next year.
To the all-time winningest coach.
Of course, Sue Gunner, who's the coach at LSU, the NCAA, for whatever reason, is not counting 6 years, and she'd have over 800 wins.
Offensive foul called against Shyra Ely.
Well, neither coach really happy about the way the game's being called. And there you see Dean Smith and Adolph Rupp from Kentucky, and Pat Summitt, Jody Conrad, and Bobby Knight is right behind them. And Pat Summitt, I mean, she gets 30 wins this year and 30 wins next year. She's way past Dean Smith. But right now, I think the officiating's calling a little tight. Neither coach happy with the way things are being called.
A lot of talk about the officiating in the days leading up to the game. There's another whistle.
There's one of those calls with Taurasi going through the lane, getting bumped. And it'll be interesting to see what happens, how tight they're going to call it the rest of this first half, because as deep as both benches are, Tennessee probably not quite as deep with Lori Moore out.
That's called for her first foul. Strother open for 3. And a rebound. And Tye'sha Fluker just off the bench for the Lady Vols. Connecticut by 3. 6.5 minutes played here at Thompson Bowling Arena. Zolman had her shot blocked by Jessica Moore. by Fluker. Battle got it back. Taurasi with Zolman all over and a foul call. The fans are booing.
Well, Gino Auriemma might not be happy with Sally Bell, but Pat Summitt's not happy with her right now either.
Well, Gino Auriemma's Huskies won the game against St. John's over the weekend, 82-49. But after the game, he went on a tirade about the officiating. Mark Jones told you about his dismay over the lack of free throw attempts for Diana Taurasi. Great play on the inbound, and wide open was Battle, and Taurasi found her a 14-9 lead. A lot of people thought, Annie, that tirade after the game was timed. And how could you be that mad after a victory of 30-plus points to set a tone, to put the bug in the officials' ears tonight?
I think it had just built up for him. It's been going that way all season long, and I think it finally took its toll when Diana Taurasi went out of the game with only 12 minutes played.
And Ashley Battle, better known as a defender, she was the Big East Defensive Player of the Year. She knocked down a long two there, and it's an 8-0 Connecticut run and a timeout called by Pat Summitt. And she's in the ear of John Morningstar as her players come over to the Tennessee bench.
Well, both coaches know how to work the officials, too. And Connecticut right now executing a little bit better on their offense, especially on the out of bounds. And they scored on that out of bounds play, Sean, and what happened is that Tennessee is not switching on it. They got beat on it the first time Connecticut ran it, and they didn't get the pass in to the proper person, but Connecticut's doing a great job executing.
Tomorrow night, the NBA and ESPN begins with Kia NBA shoot-around at 7:30 Eastern, then at 8 Eastern, talking about good execution. The Nets, who continue to win under their new coach, take on the Magic. Tracy McGrady averaging 27 points per game, questionable for that game for health reasons. 10:30 Eastern, reigning MVP Tim Duncan leads the Spurs against the Sacramento Kings. That's also available on ESPN HD. NBA Fridays on ESPN.
Yeah, Kenyon Martin, boy, he is just scoring all over the place, and it helps when you've got the #1 assist man in the league with Jason Kidd.
Tennessee just 3 out of 12 from the floor. They trail by 7, 12.5 left in the first half.
And Connecticut running that matchup trap. Tennessee really having a tough time trying to figure out, gets the open spots. Nice.
And Fluker alone underneath, good interior passing. Zolman, the nice look. Now here's Turner running the floor. Her shot short, altered by Fluker. And Fluker might have gotten a piece of the follow-up as well.
Against the zone against Connecticut, Tennessee can't dribble so much. They got to get passing the ball and making that zone move so they cannot trap them.
Sydney Spencer has come in for the Lady Vols. She's #1, a talented freshman who's played particularly well lately. Ely off to a rough start. Taurasi the rebound. Spencer swatted at the ball and didn't get it. Gino Auriemma with his arms extended as if to say, that's what I'm talking about, the way they hit Taurasi without a whistle.
Come on, this is a contact sport.
Yes, it is.
It just depends on how the contact's made.
Taurasi, almost an air ball, barely grazed the right side of the rim as Butts ran out to contest the shot.
What happens, too, when you settle for outside shots, one Mark Jones talked about Taurasi not getting the free throw line. Well, a lot of it has to do, she's got to go to the basket, too. You got to get inside shots like that, like Fluker. And the other thing is, when she gets bumped like she does so much, physically it kind of takes some stuff out of you, and you're going to be a little bit more exhausted taking shots.
Turner active inside, but having difficulty scoring. You can't leave Conlon open, and she makes a three. Maria Conlon with 142 career three-point field goals now, 7th all-time for the Huskies.
She only has 4 twos field goals. Everything else is a three-pointer
this season. But in the Fluker, Fluker's been a good presence off the bench, but short with that line drive shot.
I thought they executed well, but they got standing. That wasn't the last option that they needed to go to.
Taurasi, a little strong with the left hand. Jessica Moore pulls it out. Conlon, a rare 2-point field goal. There's the 5th for the year for the senior from Derby, Connecticut. 5 points for Conlon, and the lead up to 8. Midway through the first half.
And that's what Gino Auriemma has been waiting for. Other players to step up. Don't just rely on Diana Taurasi. They've got to help her out. And Strother's did. Her last game, 27 points, 10 rebounds. Now if Maria Conlon can continue to put up points, that'll help.
Fluker again, and she was fouled. A chance for the old-fashioned three-point play. Jessica Moore whistled for the foul.
Pat Summitt talked about inside play. They've got bigger posts as far as taller posts. Fluker at 6'5", only a sophomore. She's strong. She gets the body contact. Jessica Moore looks like she's just standing straight up. But they call the foul, and Tennessee's got to continue to try and get the ball inside. And even if it's a one-on-one situation, they've got weak side cutters if their post players will look for that.
7 points off the bench now for Fluker. She averages just 5.5 per game. Maria Conlon, 5 consecutive points for the Huskies. And they lead midway through the first half.
Welcome back, everyone. Joined by two of the best ever in Tennessee women's college basketball history, Tamika Catchings and Carol Lawson. Tamika, do you have a favorite memory against UConn? It's really become quite a rivalry.
Well, it has, but I think our favorite game is anytime we beat them. You know, it's always been a big game for us. So when we were, I think the biggest one is when we went to Connecticut and beat them.
Carol, what is it about this rivalry that has become so special beyond the two head coaches?
Well, I think you have a lot of great players. I mean, it seems like if you turn around and you look at the players over the years that have come from both of these programs, and tremendous fans. I think they get the best support in women's basketball from both these great programs.
What do they have to do to get the lead back here?
Well, I think second chance points. I think Moore and Crockett and Turner's been on the boards a lot, so they got to limit their second opportunities. UConn, you give them second, third shots, they're going to beat you.
Thanks for joining us.
Right,
guys, back to you.
Thank you, Mark. Two great players. Tamika Catchings, the WNBA Rookie of the Year in 2002. Carol Lawson in the WNBA with Sacramento, and she's getting ready to take her LSATs over the weekend. Wants to go to law school.
That's right, and also to receive the Woody Hayes Award. And my niece received that. She went to UMass. Jill Meyers played volleyball there, but Carol Lawson, just a tremendous athlete and also student.
That's the 17th annual Woody Hayes National Scholar Athlete Award, which Carol Lawson will win along with 5 others on Friday night. We talked about rebounding. The offensive rebound set up the bucket for Brittany Jackson.
And that's what Carol Lawson talked about, the second chance points. And you mentioned it, Sean, coming into this game that the post players for Connecticut have struggled, but they've been playing very good on the boards, really attacking. And though it's going to be up to Tennessee's post players to get those second and third opportunities and take advantage and score off of it.
Conlon guarded by the freshman Spencer. Ely guarding Turner. Turner a pull-up jumper.
And Ashley Robinson does not block out Crockett. Crockett going to come out with the foul, but I thought it was a great effort by Lynette Crockett to go after the basketball.
They called the foul on Barbara Turner. Her first. 8:46 left in the half, a 3-point game. Connecticut had an 8-point lead, but Tennessee has run off 5 in a row. And Gino Auriemma has gone to his bench. The freshman Liz Sherwood has come in. Taurasi on the bench. Sherwood with Moore, Battle, Strother, and Conlon. Zolman with the ball with Spencer, Ely, Jackson, and Robinson for Tennessee. A kick and a reset of the shot clock to 30.
You know, you look at this Connecticut team winning the national championship last year, 37-1. And they've got a few new faces this year. You think, hey, same team from last year, but you know what? The roles change, teams change playing against them. And both coaches from Tennessee and Connecticut will tell you that any opponent gets up to them.
Big basket by Ashley Battle. A three-pointer to answer the 3 by Brittany Jackson at the other end. 7 for Battle. That's her average per game. And a turnover as Brittany Jackson's pass was too high for Shyra Ely.
And Ashley Battle, she's come off the bench, and against St. John, she had 15 points, 8 rebounds, and has been shooting the ball well. She's taking high percentage shots.
A 15-point game Saturday, her season high. A little trap here from Tennessee.
And Pat Summitt said in practice yesterday, he said, we have to be patient. You've got to play defense. You cannot give up. And that's the one thing that Pat Summitt has always stressed is the defensive end.
Great hustle by Battle a moment ago after she missed. She got her own rebound. Conlon short of the 3. The freshman Sherwood on the floor. and a held ball. And it'll be Connecticut's ball with 7:33 left. But first, a timeout.
There's timeout on the floor.
Typical Connecticut-Tennessee game. Hard fought, close, and plenty of emotion on display here in Knoxville. Connecticut has led through most of the half. They lead by 3, 7.5 to go till halftime. As we celebrate our 25 seasons of college basketball, time to flash back into the ESPN archive.
Have you ever seen anyone more complete than Taurasi? Are you kidding? How did she make that? They find Taurasi, and she knocks down a 3. One-on-one against Moore. What a shot. Taurasi with a rainbow. The Connecticut Huskies. What a remarkable year. They go 37-1 and win back-to-back national championships.
28 points in that game, part of her average in 6 games against Tennessee of 23, but off to a slow start tonight and on the bench at the moment. Jessica Moore scores inside. She has really had a tough time lately, scoreless in 2 of their last 3 games, a total of just 9 points over the last 4. She had been averaging over 10 points per game.
No, she's not getting the minutes either. If you're not going to produce, RM will pull you out.
Jackson, a nice drive, the dump down to Fluker, and a chance for 3.
Dribble penetration has hurt Connecticut so far. Tennessee is not going to take the shot. They've looked for the dish off every time, and they've been successful in either scoring the basket or getting to the free throw line.
Fluker sends her point total up to 9 and 10 with the free throw, and gets Tennessee within 2. Taurasi back in. Her ineffective start on the time on the bench again is going to raise questions about whether the back is bothering her, but she says she's fine. Gino Auriemma says that she's fine.
Tennessee running that 2-3 zone. You know, Notre Dame ran a zone against Connecticut, and Connecticut really struggled scoring-wise.
Strother turned it over. Just the second turnover by the Huskies.
And this Tennessee team, they've played 3 overtime games. They've had some comeback wins. And, you know, a lot of people don't give them credit. They are #1. A lot of people are surprised because they don't quote have a superstar. But they've really played by committee. I mean, everybody has contributed and kind of been on the same page.
2 fouls on Taurasi now. So let's see if Gino Auriemma brings her back to the bench. And a mini timeout called by Gino Auriemma. You're right, and Tennessee lost Gwen Jackson and Kara Lawson from their team that lost to Connecticut in the national championship game last year. That was 40% of their scoring. They were 4th in the preseason poll, and a lot of people thought that was just because of their reputation, that perhaps they struggled to be even that good. But just the 1 loss to Texas by 10. Tennessee #1 in the country right now, but a lot of people wonder, can they sustain it without Lori Moore, their point guard?
Well, exactly. The one constant, though, is Pat Summitt. And the other thing is the kind of schedule that they play. They are 18-1. Duke just lost last night to Florida State. Connecticut 2 losses. Texas 2 losses. But the one thing that Pat Summitt prepares her team by having one of the toughest schedules. They are 8-1 this season against ranked teams.
This is their 10th ranked opponent of the year, while Connecticut's just their 4th game against a ranked team. But looking at those rankings, and given that Duke did lose yesterday, you'd have to think the winner of this game will likely be #1 next week.
Well, some of those ranked teams, a lot of them are in the SEC.
Yeah. Makes it easier to play them when you're in the same conference. Spencer made the free throw, the freshman from Hoover, Alabama. That's the remarkable thing, too. And you look at the numbers we just talked about, 44% of the opponents this year have been ranked. Pat Summitt, 839 wins. So, well, she's loaded up on a lot of cupcakes. No, 47% of all the games that she has coached here have been against ranked teams.
That's mind-boggling.
And she still won 839. Turner got her own rebound and was fouled, and she'll go to the line to try to break a tie.
Barbara Turner is being relentless on the offensive end. She missed that shot. She got bumped, got blocked, whatever, but she stayed after the basketball. And that really sets you apart as far as being a good rebounder compared to a great rebounder. Never stopping to go after the basketball. You hope that you want to assume that every shot is made, but when you're a great rebounder, you assume that the shot is missed.
Turner having a tough shooting night. 3 for 10 from the floor, and now 0 for 3 from the free throw line. The foul on Fluker was her first and the 6th against the Lady Vols.
Against Boston College, Turner was 11 of 11 from the free throw line. Now 0 for 4.
It's Strother the offensive rebound. It's second chance points, keeping Connecticut in this tie. Tomlin a miss. Strother had her fingers on it. Out of bounds. Last touch by Tye'sha Butts. That's the number we were talking about, the second chance points, and another score off the inbounding play. Taurasi to Strother.
I tell you, I'm impressed with Connecticut's out-of-bounds plays. You know, a lot of coaches sometimes, you know, on the lower levels, high schools, whatever, they don't spend enough time on out-of-bounds, and they've scored 3 times on the out-of-bounds play.
Spencer fouled, and she'll go to the line. She is a developing star. Pat Summitt says she's really just starting to play the way I felt she could have played all along. Highly touted out of Hoover, Alabama. Career high 14 points in their overtime win here Sunday against Auburn. And in the game before that, she had 11 at Kentucky, the first 2 double-figure games of her career. Still just averaging 4 points per game for the season. Right after our game, stay with ESPN2 for another college basketball's fiercest rivalry, and another #1 team, the #1 Duke Blue Devils, taking on their arch rival North Carolina. Subject to blackout, it's all part of rivalry week, presented by Cisco Systems on ESPN and ESPN2.
And Duke's won 15 in a row. Roy Williams got to get his team up at North Carolina.
Turner trying to find the mark, and she does. Steps out beyond the three-point arc. Just the 5th 3 of the season for Barbara Turner.
Barbara Turner coming in this game shooting 25% from three-point range. And look at her go.
They're racing to try to catch up to her, but they can't. 5 straight points for Barbara Turner. She has 11 despite the poor shooting. And the lead is 5 for the 3rd-ranked Connecticut Huskies.
And a lot of times, you know, this is how these two teams play. They play within spurts. They get those runs going, but you've got to be able to stop those runs and also be able to sustain them. Good defense by Diana Taurasi, just dropping back and playing the passing lane.
The ball turned over by Brittany Jackson. Turner miss inside, and a rebounding foul against Connecticut. And the assistant coaches restrained Gino Auriemma as he started after the officials. Chris Daly, the associate coach, quickly off the bench. He liked that a lot better.
Gino Auriemma, he just threw his fist into his hand. I don't know what that meant.
Well, you can't hit the refs, so I guess you might as well hit yourself. He said after the game Saturday that he felt they wouldn't get the same kind of calls that he thinks they get right now if Chris Daly was the coach. And a lot of people in the media felt that that was hinting at gender bias. And we asked about that today. He said, no. What I meant is Chris is the kind of person, she wouldn't say much to the refs, so they leave her alone. There's Chris. He said, I tend to make them mad because I'm always on their case, so maybe they're out to get me.
Yeah, he doesn't hold back. He shows his emotions. Fluker, a 59% free throw shooter, has been shooting the ball well from the free throw line.
He's been the star of the half for Tennessee. 12 points. She's the leading scorer in the game for either team. And Tennessee as a team from the line is 10 for 10, while Connecticut is just 2 for 6.
Tennessee switching up, getting the man-to-man defense.
Strother. Conlon sneaks into the traffic.
And going into halftime, that is going to be one thing that Pat Summitt's going to talk about is rebounding.
Conlon, awkward looking pass, but she found Jessica Moore, and the junior from Palmer, Alaska, with her second field goal.
You know, nothing's nicer than a pick and roll or a back door. And that time, Jessica Moore set the nice pick, and the switch by Tennessee, Zolman was too late getting there. And Maria Conlon makes a nice pass.
UConn by 5, nearing 4 minutes left in the half. Shot clock at 10. Zolman's three rattles out. She leads the SEC in three-point percentage at nearly 44%, but not that time. Latoya Davis comes in for Tennessee, and Zolman heads out.
Look at the nice pick right here, and Fluker just switches without telling Zolman, and by the time Zolman gets there, the weak side help can't get over and recover. And Fluker, young player, when you're out that high, you've got to be able to step up and then get back.
Foul on Ely, her second. Turner still can't make a free throw. 0 for 5 as a team at 2 for 7. Ashley Battle trying to steal the call for Connecticut, but could not. And immediate timeout with 3:59 left in the first half. Rivalry week presented by Cisco Systems. It doesn't get any better in women's collegiate basketball than Tennessee and Connecticut.
What a great night to be with us for college basketball. Reese Davis, Stacey Dale Schumann here. Coming up at halftime, we'll have the latest on the Maurice Clarett situation and his eligibility for the NFL draft. We'll get you ready for our second #1 team in the nation on our air tonight, Duke against North Carolina. But Stacey, in the first half of UConn, Tennessee, second chance opportunity is a big thing for UConn.
Well, who would have thought Connecticut has 12 offensive boards already? They average 12 every game this year.
UConn and Tennessee getting us set for a great night of passion and pageantry in college basketball. Right now, back to Knoxville, Mark Jones.
All right, Reese, you know, Tennessee is going to have to do without the leadership and explosiveness for the rest of the season of starting point guard Lori Moore, who tore the anterior cruciate ligament in her left knee against Duke a couple of weeks ago. She's already started rehabilitation on the knee. She's due to have surgery on February the 16th. Now, there's no chance for returning this season, but all should be fine for next year. And, guys, the irony is that she got some well-wishing phone calls from two certain people. One of them, Elena Beard of Duke, and Diana Taurasi on the other side of the court tonight, guys.
Yeah, Diana Taurasi said everybody thinks I hate Tennessee. She cited that as an example that she did call Lori. You saw the sneakers. A number of these Tennessee players are wearing Lori Moore's initials or name or uniform number on their sneakers to let Lori know that she's very much still in their thoughts.
Well, all those players played on the international teams during the summer.
Shot clock running out. It's at 2, and it doesn't matter as the Lady Vols turned it over. 3.5 to go till halftime. Connecticut by 5. 7 turnovers now for the Lady Vols.
Well, the turnovers have not helped Tennessee, and also the fact that the rebounding by Connecticut, they've been all over the boards.
Rather a strong drive, couldn't get the shot to go. Turner kept it alive, but it was controlled by Butch. She saw that Strother was down behind the play, so pushed it ahead to Davis. Now Spencer will pull up. And a foul on the rebounding action against Tennessee.
Well, coming out of that timeout, Connecticut out-rebounding Tennessee 21 to 15. And on those 12 offensive rebounds that the Huskies have, 18 second chance points. That's huge.
Well, rebounding and defense were the two keys that Pat Summitt gave us when we spoke with her this morning. And right now she cannot be happy with the rebounding. Victoria Davis with her first foul, but Conlon missed the front end of the 1-and-1. A good outside shooter. She is not a very good free throw shooter. Battle saw that pass coming, and she lays it in.
Pat Summitt at practice yesterday talked about we've got to be sharp with our passes. We've got to get the angles. And Connecticut has played the passing lanes very, very well. Tennessee really telegraphing their passes.
Butts running the point now with Davis, Fluker, Ely, and Spencer for the Lady Vols.
Well, not much movement by the Lady Vols right now.
Ely hasn't scored yet. She's their leading scorer. We showed you the numbers earlier. She hasn't done very well against Connecticut in the past, and she didn't get that shot off. You wonder where her mind might be tonight, Annie, as she had to leave for a couple of days. Her great-grandmother passed away over the weekend, and Shyra flew home to her native Indianapolis for the funeral on Tuesday and just returned yesterday.
No, you're right, and absolutely. But I think she's into this game. But the thing is, what a player has to do, the shot clock is running down. They knew it was. They set her up in a one-on-one situation. You can't put the ball on the floor. You got to get the ball off when you catch the ball. And sometimes women, the majority of women, not all the women players, they need that dribble to get their rhythm going. I see a lot of guys do it too, but you got to get the ball, catch it, and shoot. And battle out of her shoe, and Tennessee wanted to travel.
She did slide as she caught the pass.
And Taurasi's picking it up.
Yeah, Taurasi made a three and then picked up the shoe, then threw the shoe to the bench. Meanwhile, Fluker in this. That's over 3.5 minutes without scoring now for Tennessee, facing its largest deficit of the half, 10 points.
And A.B. Battle is saying, hey, I'm playing. I can play without the shoe.
She looked to the bench. Gino Ormia just waved her into the corners and say, stay over in the corner out of the way. We'll run something else without you. She probably will travel if she catches the ball again. Strother in this. Wonders maybe they should have taken a timeout to allow her to get her shoe back on. Zolman, tough shot in traffic.
Didn't get it.
Strother the board, 1:10 left in the half. Battle with one shoe. Slipped a little on the takeoff there. Out of bounds to Connecticut. Now Chris Daly, the associate head coach in her 19th season with Gino Oriema. She's been by his side since he became the head coach. Brings the shoe back out. She's had a lot of opportunities to leave, but obviously as a great assistant coach, being an assistant coach at either one of these two schools is one of the best in the country. So if you're going to leave, it's going to be for an absolute gem of a head coaching job.
Well, she was a heck of a player, too. She played at Rutgers in 1982. They won the national championship. Teresa Grentz was the coach there. And she had wanted to get the Rutgers job. She applied for that, and Vivian Stringer got it. And she has stayed at Connecticut, and she has been vital for the players in the association and communication with Gino Oriema. But Tennessee right now, they need to get back into this game and get some kind of focus. They're down 10 with 1:04 left to go in this first half, and they have not scored in over 5 minutes.
Taurasi comes out. He has 6 points, and Ely hasn't scored for Tennessee. The stars on each team.
Now they come to travel with their shoe on.
Yeah, they shouldn't have given her the shoe back. They let her slide when she had one shoe on. That time with both sneakers on, she tried to come to a jump stop and traveled. Third turnover by Connecticut. 9 turnovers for Tennessee.
There's that zone.
Now enticing Dominique Redding, the freshman who just came in to shoot. That's her first shot of the night. Battle for more, fouled by Brittany Jackson.
Well, Connecticut, that zone defense, they're dropping back. It's a matchup. It looks like a man-to-man. And Tennessee kind of standing on the offensive end, Sean, and nobody's cutting. And so what happens is defensively, they just stand there in the zone. So when you don't have any cuts on the offensive end, you can't really set anything up. So Connecticut right now is forcing Tennessee to take bad shots.
They posted that foul on Shyra Ely, and that's a big call because that's her third. Looked like, from our vantage point, Jackson was hacking from behind across the arm. Ely was between the shooter and the basket. She got called for the foul. And I don't know if Pat Summitt's aware of that, because you think she would get her out of the game. I think everybody in the arena thought it was on Jackson. But you would think she would get her out for these last 38 seconds to avoid getting that fourth foul. Lane violation there, so Tennessee will play it in.
Connecticut's got 4 players with 2 fouls, and Ashley Robinson with 2 fouls, and now Ely with that third.
And Jackson, she has been turnover plagued here in the first half. 10th team turnover, and 30-second shot clock in women's college basketball, so Connecticut can take it down almost to the end of the half.
Well, Connecticut has really controlled the tempo of this game in the first half. They've been aggressive. They've pushed the ball. They've gotten offensive boards. They've got second chance points. They're really stifling Tennessee's offense on the defensive end. And quite frankly, Tennessee is not passing the ball well. They've got to tighten things up in the second half.
Ely is guarding Strother man-to-man. You think they'd give it to Strother. Eli's got to be careful playing with the 3 fouls. Rossi bumped her own teammate Strother on the handoff. Still a lot of time to shoot. Battle from the elbow and miss. Zolman with 10 seconds left in the half. A pull-up for 3. Gino Oriema livid. That was not the shot he wanted when he was on offense. From Battle a little bit deeper than she usually shoots. And with plenty of time on the clock. And then Zolman took advantage of that time and hit a 3 that gives Tennessee a little momentum. Each star ineffective in the first half. Here's Mark Jones with Gino Auriemma.
You know, Barbara Turner with 11 points in the first half. You making a concerted effort to get her off in this game?
Yeah, you know, obviously there's a lot of pressure on our perimeter players, so what we're trying to do is get the ball inside as much as we can. You know, we were hoping to get Dee a little more involved, but they're doing a really good job at getting her out of her rhythm. So, you know, in the second half, we'll try to get more people involved other than just Barbara.
It says well for your offense the fact that Taurasi only has 6 points, yet you have a double-figure lead almost.
Well, you know, I think the other kids have stepped up a little bit, and we've made a couple dumb plays. We made a couple mistakes, but if we make our free throws, it's a whole different ball game, you know. So we got a lot of practice to do at halftime. And
lastly, Gino, your best play in the first half offensively has been the missed shot. 13 offensive boards.
Yeah, we worked really hard. That was really something we wanted to work on coming in, because that's usually Tennessee's strength, and we wanted to turn it into one of our own, and so far we've done that.
All right, congratulations. Get you in a bit. Guys, back to you.
And he touched on free throw shooting. His team just 3 for 9 in the first half. Halftime, 41-33 Connecticut. Here's Reese Davis in the studio with the college basketball halftime report.
All right, Sean, UConn's already ripped off 4 in a row against Tennessee. Stacey Dale-Schumann is here with me. Stacey, how much of an impact have you noticed for Tennessee on offense not having Lori Moore to run the show?
Reese, when you don't have a traditional point guard in the game, you don't recognize defenses as well, and as a result, you shoot 36% from the field.
Didn't shoot well in the first half. We'll see what type of adjustments Tennessee needs to make in the second half. What do you expect to see in UConn-Tennessee second half?
Well, Tennessee's getting out-rebounded by 7 right now, Reese. Expect that to change. If Pat Summitt has anything to say about it, that changes.
Diana Taurasi, who's averaged over 23 a game against Tennessee, has only 6, but Barb Turner's picked up the slack. UConn with an 8-point lead. Second half's coming.
ESPN2's exclusive presentation of NCAA women's basketball. Brought to you by Kia Motors. Kia, make every mile count.
And welcome back to Thompson Bowling Arena in Knoxville. We're at halftime, and third-ranked Connecticut leads the #1 team of the nation, Tennessee, 41-33. Sean McDonough with Ann Meyers and Mark Jones, and we check out the ESPN game track.
Well, Connecticut scoring 18 second chance points off 13 offensive rebounds. Tennessee really standing around, not cutting to the basket, kind of telegraphing their passes, really struggling to get their offense going. And Connecticut just putting the pressure on Shyra Ely and everybody else for the Lady Vols.
She has not scored. Pat Summitt might be asking at halftime, Eli, why have you abandoned me? Hoping to get more from Shyra here in the second half. Their team struggled on the boards. Free throw shooting a big key to keep them in it. Tennessee 10 for 10 from the line, while UConn was 3 for 9.
I really think Tennessee's got to take advantage of their post players inside. They've got to look to get inside, but right now down to almost 10 seconds on the shot clock, and they're still passing around the perimeter.
Eli spins in the lane, and she's fouled. Seemed like a design play to get her involved instantly in the offense here in the second half as we check in with Mark Jones.
Guys, had a chance to speak with head coach Pat Summitt of Tennessee at the break, and she said that one of the things they've got to do right off the tip-off here in the second half is match the intensity of Barbara Turner and Ashley Battle. Secondly, they've got to limit those second chance opportunities of UConn and box out better on the boards. But the interesting thing was, as her voice intoned in the huddle before they came out, there was no panic whatsoever in her voice. A true veteran coach. Back to you guys.
This is a team that has been down 13 times, trailing at halftime. Their biggest being down 14, but 13 also against Stanford. And so this is a team that knows how to come back. And they counted that basket.
And Taurasi will have a chance for the three-point play.
That was a continuation. You see the bump right there before the shot's even going up, but they count it. Diana Taurasi being aggressive, going to the basket. That's where she's going to get her opportunity to go to the free throw line.
She has 8 points now with that bucket. So both stars quiet in the first half, each with a bucket already here in the second half. Or at least Eli with 2 free throws and Taurasi the three-point play. Eli with Brittany Jackson, Ashley Robinson, and Zolman.
It's not a good shot. Tennessee still does not look very fluid in their offense. It just looks like they're struggling off their cuts and their timing.
Tye'sha Butts, the other starter here in the second half for the Vols. This is Strother with Conlon, Moore, Turner, and Taurasi for Connecticut. Turner had 11 in the first half despite poor shooting. Taurasi, strong move into the lane, short with the one-hander, out of bounds. It is Tennessee's ball.
The move that Diana Taurasi made off that spin move, did you see how big that step was to get her closer to the basket? Normally a lot of players will just spin and stay right there, and then they're even further from the basket. Taurasi now with 9 points. She's 3 of 9 from the floor.
She's now 258 points away from becoming their all-time leading scorer at Connecticut. Ely, that's a 2. Her toes were on the line.
Well, that'll get them on track. Just the fact that Shyra Ely made a basket, but again, Tennessee just kind of looking at each other. Who's going to take over?
That's about the extent of her range there. She has not made a three-point shot all year. Great defense by Ashley Robinson.
Ashley Robinson, one of the best post players in the country, and using her long arms.
Butts has it deflected back to her, off to Ely, and the Lady Vols are on a run.
Well, we mentioned that Shyra Ely and Ashley Robinson have to be a difference in this game, and Robinson, who had 2 fouls in the first half, and we mentioned about the foul trouble with Connecticut, but Robinson's got to go after it. Oh, that's a tough call.
That looked like a clean block from where we are by Ashley Robinson, who's a great shot blocker. Blocked 63 last season, 170 career blocks, 3rd all time at Tennessee.
All ball.
Yeah, that's a terrible call.
Well, one of the things in the women's game, it seems that a lot of times you don't see officials letting that block shot go. A lot of times they'll call it from behind. They feel that there's body contact, even though you see space on the arm.
And the free throw woes continue for Connecticut as Jessica Moore missed the first.
Well, this is a Connecticut team. They've been down, and they've had leads. They've had leads slip away against Duke. Duke came all the way back. They were down 17 against Connecticut at halftime.
Butts guarded by Strother. Robinson working on Moore. Strong move to the bucket.
Well, at 6'5", you've got to take advantage of Ashley Robinson and Jessica Moore at 6'3". A good defensive player, but not a great defensive player. And Robinson, she's got to use her size.
An 11-3 run dating back to the end of the first half. And you think about that bad possession for Connecticut with plenty of time left in the half. They got a shot that Gino Auriemma didn't want. It was answered on a 3 by Zolman, and that run has continued here and that momentum in the second half.
Well, it really was. And Tennessee on a great run.
Welcome back, everyone, to Knoxville. UConn's lead down to a tenuous 3 points. Shyra Ely with 4 quick points here in the second half. Interesting that just recently, coaches and players were watching tape, and Pat Summitt noticed that Ely was squinting and struggling to see the monitor. She subsequently sent Ely to the optometrist, and they figured out that Ely was, get this, legally and technically blind. She got herself a new set of contact lenses, which she hadn't had in over a year, and corrected the stigmatism. Now she's seeing 20/20, guys, and seeing straight here in the second half.
Yeah, you'd wonder about the prescription in the first half, but much better here in the second half. A holding foul called before the ball even came in. And it's on Zolman, her second. And the 3rd team foul against the Lady Vols here in the second half in under 3 minutes. Turner couldn't lose Robinson with a pump fake. Nice drive, however, for the score.
Actually, Robinson with 3 personal fouls can't afford to pick up that 4th. If she's going to play the perimeter that far out, she doesn't have to go up for those fakes. Bad pass. You don't pick up your dribble once you cross half court.
Taurasi underneath for Wilmette Crockett.
And Crockett, she put that ball on the floor. It gave the defense a chance to come at her. All she had to do was go up and put it in.
Butts dribbles through the traffic. And a foul call by John Morningstar. I believe it's on Taurasi. And that's her 3rd. So Taurasi with 3. Ely with 3 for Tennessee, the leading scorer for each team in foul trouble.
They call the reach in. Where? I guess we were blocked out.
Didn't look like much of a foul, and Butts kept control of the dribble. Zolman scored more than 3,000 points in high school in Indiana. All-time leading scorer in the state. Adds to her point total tonight with a little fadeaway jumper. She has 9.
And she really worked hard to get in shape this year. Her defense was criticized, her quickness, and she worked on her footwork. But she is an unbelievable shooter and scorer.
Crockett. Strother guarded by Brittany Jackson. 4 minutes played, second half. It's Connecticut by 5. They've led virtually throughout. Turner and miss. Crockett. Crowd thought she was over the back. Out of bounds. Last touch by Ely. She didn't think so, and barked at John Morningstar. And Pat agrees with the crowd. She thought there was an over-the-back foul that went uncalled. She better be careful as we go to the break.
Chris Duhon needs 5 steals to pass Battier on Duke's all-time list. If he gets them all tonight, Carolina's got a problem. Duke and Carolina, 9:07 Eastern, subject to blackout.
And we'll look forward to that race as we'll see both #1 teams in major college basketball tonight. A look at Tennessee here. And for most of the night in, they've trailed. Their last lead was at 9-8. They have made a little bit of a comeback now, down by only 5. What do they have to continue to do?
Well, Tennessee, the #1 team, they've got to believe in themselves. They've got to believe that they can go out and beat this Connecticut team. And Connecticut, ranked #3 coming in, I think, has still kind of controlled things. And Tennessee's got to settle down. Again, we talked about it in the first half, Sean, as far as not turning the ball over. They've got to execute in their half-court game, get dribble penetration inside, and use their post players.
Another wide-open shot off an inbounds play for Connecticut. Conlon didn't hit it, but Taurasi wound up with it.
The last couple possessions, Tennessee has forced Connecticut to take that outside shot, but they haven't gotten a defensive rebound.
Strother, nice shot.
You give them that many chances, they're going to knock one down eventually.
7 points for Strother, the sophomore from Castle Rock, Colorado, who has started every game of her Connecticut career. Ashley Robinson got the roll.
That's a nice move by Ashley Robinson. Seeing the defense standing right there, and she ducked right underneath.
She has 6. Robinson had a season-high 15 last season in their loss to the Huskies in Hartford. Nice pass by Taurasi, and Barbara Turner with the easy 2.
And that's the one thing Gino Auriemma has talked about, is the sense that Diana Taurasi has made it a point this year to kind of get everybody else involved. She's still averaging over 17 points. Probably could be averaging 25 points if she'd look to get a shot in it.
Well, she only takes about 12 shots per game. Shanna Zolman scores for Tennessee, and now they're matching baskets. Still a 5-point lead for UConn, 14:40 left.
Well, Gino Auriemma said, what's different about this year? You know, what did you do your senior year in high school?
She said, I scored 40 because the rest of my team wasn't very good.
That's right. She had to. And he goes, well, what's the difference now? And she said, well, I feel like I can get my teammates involved, and they're going to contribute, and we're going to win. He said, yeah, but we'll win if you still score 40, too.
Well, she thought maybe they wouldn't win. He said, well, I'll take my chances. You go ahead and score 40. We'll see how we do. Let's check in with Mark Jones.
Go during that last Tennessee huddle. Head coach Pat Summitt got in Ashley Robinson's grill right in her face, imploring her to shut down the middle offensively and defensively to make herself available in the paint like she did on that last offensive sequence when she scored. Offensively, for the rest of the team, penetration and ball movement are the 2 things that she stressed. Back to you guys.
The last 2 games, Mark, Tennessee only has had 12 turnovers in both the last 2 games. Right now, they've got 11 turnovers, and those turnovers are causing Connecticut to hit shots like that.
And Strother starting to heat up. He has 10. That's 16 points off turnovers now.
And nobody underneath for the Lady Vols to rebound.
Moore was all alone for Connecticut. The lead is 8. The largest lead was 11 in the final minute of the first half for Connecticut. And a foul called against Tennessee as Barbara Turner, trying to set a screen, got knocked to the ground. Sydney Spencer called for her first foul. Right after our game, stay with ESPN2, as Reese Davis just told you. One of the fiercest rivalries in men's college basketball. Duke and North Carolina, both in the top 20. All part of Rivalry Week, presented by Cisco Systems on ESPN and ESPN2.
And they call an offensive foul on Jessica Moore. Gino Auriemma thought it was on Tennessee because Taurasi got clotheslined in the neck, but they call it on Connecticut.
And it was his friend Sally Bell, about whom he knew the numbers. We've lost the last 20 games we've lost. She's ref.
Who did they call it on?
Did they call it on Taurasi?
Well, you see
yes,
the
they
replay.
did. That's why he's livid.
She's
and
coming
maybe
through the screen. I thought it was on Jessica Moore off the screen.
Sally Bell now coming over to clarify the call, but they have posted and announced the foul on Taurasi, her fourth. Chris Daly restraining Gino Auriemma.
Well, Mark Jones mentioned that Gino Auriemma's last 2 technicals were with Sally Bell. It's not that he's trying to get one. He just cannot believe the call, which a lot of other people can't.
Well, I'm not sure if they changed the call or not, because we could not hear the public address announcement. So we need clarification on who that foul was on.
Well, up on the scoreboard it says Jessica Moore
they did.
with 4
They
fouls
changed it to Jessica
Taurasi's
Moore, her
got 3.
fourth. And the official stat board here now has 3 fouls for Taurasi. Fluker, the basket.
Oh, what a smart cut by Taurasi.
Moore's pass to her deflected. Taurasi, catch and shoot for 3.
Gino Auriemma says the bigger the game, the bigger she gets up for. She just seems to nail the big-time shots.
Yes, Tennessee well aware of that. We talked about her successes against the Lady Vols over the years. A 23-point average in 6 games. 28 in the national championship game last spring. Fluker, an air ball.
And you can feel it in the stands, Sean. I can, in the sense that when Tennessee gets the ball, they're standing. They're not playing with a sense of urgency within their offense. And the fans are like they're kind of yelling. It's like, get going.
Strother opened and missed a 3, and the rebound down to Ely.
Now, granted, Tennessee is playing a half-court game, but they look a little fatigued.
Ely, strong spin to the basket. There's a junior from Indianapolis. Did not score in the first half. She has 8 here in the second half. 10 rebounds in the ball game for Ely. And a foul called against Zolman as she bumped Battle while Ashley was receiving the pass.
I know I'm really old, but isn't it great for these players? They don't have to raise their hand when they get a foul. Those officials just stare you down. It's like, okay, in the old days, raise that hand. They don't have to do that now.
That play resulted in a foul against Connecticut. That basket helped the Huskies to a 7-point lead.
Sean Meyers, second leading rebound in the ACC now, leading North Carolina against Duke. That's coming up 9 o'clock Eastern time, subject to blackout.
The Duke women lost yesterday. They were ranked number 2 in the most recent poll, so perhaps a chance for Connecticut to vault back up to number 1 for the win tonight over Tennessee. Still a long way to go, 11:48 remaining. Connecticut returns every player off the national championship team of last year, as they had to win their 3rd straight national championship and make it to the Final Four for the 5th year in a row.
Well, we just heard that Sue Bird, who was on one of those championship teams, was named to the Olympic team, and Tamika Catchings, who's here tonight, is going to be on that Olympic team also.
Oh, boy. Wide open was Ashley Battle on a nicely executed play. She missed it right underneath the bucket. Here's Butts with Zolman, Spencer, Ely, and Fluker. Fluker's having the best night of her career. Career high 14 points.
Tough pass. Right in traffic.
Yep.
I'm glad we think alike.
We created our own traffic. And a double dribble call to the other end. Just the 6th Connecticut turnover. Gino Auriemma said he's not sure if his team is better than last year. You think of everybody back, they would have a chance to be better. Fluker. And a few things he's done wrong tonight. Out of bounds. Deflected out by Tennessee. I think the players and coaches need to be very careful now, because I think these officials have had just about enough of everybody giving them a look, hollering at them, and gesturing wildly after a call that they don't like.
And it's great to have the fans into it, too, though, because it just really escalates the emotions.
Conlon for three.
You cannot let her set up. They've got such outstanding three-point shooters. You've got to know where the shooters are on the floor for Connecticut.
8 points for Conlon.
Conlon coming off a game where she was 1 of 6 from three-point range. It wasn't a bank, but it was a dud.
It landed like a rock on the back of the rim and just dropped through for Tye'sha Butts. She has her first points of the night. Taurasi. Rebound kept alive by Battle. Taurasi again. And there's the over-the-back foul that the crowd wanted earlier against Wilmette Crockett and did not get. They got it that time. Like Taurasi, a former California Gatorade Player of the Year. She's from Harbor City, California. Wilmette Crockett, a sophomore. And an ankle injury that kept her out of the first 8 games of the year.
Well, Diana Taurasi was a State Farm Wade Trophy winner last year. She's up for it again, along with so many others. Shyra Ely is one.
That's for the National Player of the Year.
National Player, Kelly Mazzanti at Penn State, Shrika Wright, Purdue, Cole Powell at Stanford, Beard at Duke. I mean, the Texas kids, and just there's a lot of good names. A lot of people have said that Taurasi's a shoo-in to win it 2 years in a row. Nancy Lieberman was the only other player to do that.
Back in the late 70s, for Old Dominion. 10 to shoot. Spencer. And a whistle away from the ball. I believe it's on Ann Strother.
And Pat Summitt has talked about Sydney Spencer, the 6'3" freshman player of the year out of Alabama, as far as being more aggressive. She played as a post. She was very thin in high school, and the high school football coach who played at football at Alabama, who's now the football coach at Hoover High School, got a hold of her and thickened her up, got her bulked up and strong and quick, and she's been playing the perimeter, but comes up with a foul there.
They said to Sydney, if you're going to go play in the SEC, you need to get a little bigger and stronger. And the folks here at Tennessee noticed the difference from when the last time they had seen her last winter to when she showed up here in the summer. She arrived early on campus to get a start on the academics in the summer session. Battle to miss, and Spencer the rebound. She got a 4-0 in the summer and then got another 4-0 this fall. So Sydney Spencer, a perfect 4.0 student so far at Tennessee. Jackson, a quick shot. Spencer, the offensive rebound. Tough shot. It was very well defended by Battle. More than midway through the second half here in Knoxville. Number 1 Tennessee has trailed virtually throughout against third-ranked Connecticut, looking for its 5th straight win. Head-to-head against the Lady Vols, and Strother buries another 3. She has 13.
Connecticut does such a nice job just stepping around the screens, getting good open looks.
Strother had a career-high 27 over the weekend against St. John's. Fluker fouled as she handled the pass on the low post.
Watch Ann Strother come down from down low and then just steps around with the pick by Battle. And it's just such an easy play, and defensively you got to get out there a lot quicker.
Strother with 8 points here in the second half. Robinson with Turner all over her. Ashley Robinson with 2 more.
Well, Pat Summitt, Sean, has gone with Fluker and Robinson inside now, trying to take advantage of that size that they have.
Wow. Well, these officials, I can understand why both coaches have been agitated. Even when the call went her way a moment ago, Pat Summitt didn't seem so sure about it, and I don't blame her for shaking her head on that one. And that's a big call because it's the 4th on Robinson. They just replayed it on the big replay screens here, and you heard the crowd growing because they saw it was kind of a ticky-tack foul as well. Here's Mark Jones.
Yeah, Andy, just a few moments ago, you talked about Fluker and Robinson getting busy inside. During the last break, Gino Auriemma implored his troops that they have to front or at least get around halfway. They just can't stand behind Tennessee's bigs. That's what's getting them in trouble at the defensive end. Back to you guys.
And now Robinson picking up her fourth. Pat Summitt's not able to take advantage of those two post players playing together and trying to get the ball inside. So benefit for Connecticut. No block out. They got lucky. Sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good.
Turner just a dreadful night at the line. Ely lays it in. Turner 1 for 7 with the free throw shooting. Ely with 10 points all here in the second half. Taurasi called for an offensive foul. And they better give Gino Auriemma a seatbelt.
Off the spin move, I didn't see Taurasi hit anybody, but, you know, great move on Tennessee's part, but I thought Taurasi made a clean spin. Here she's going left.
Well, maybe the elbow there.
I think Butts just kind of loses balance. I don't think that there was much elbow contact, but, you know, it's a great call for Tennessee.
The fourth foul on Taurasi. And mark that down. 8:01 remaining. And Connecticut leading by 7. We'll see if Gino Auriemma elects to put his star on the bench at least for a couple of minutes or really risk it with a long way to go. Hard to know what's going to be called a foul here. I mean, Diana's usually pretty good at managing that sort of thing, but with some of the little taps we've seen called fouls here tonight, it wouldn't be
now once she's
unlikely to
going
see her
left,
get another one.
Okay, Butts is moving. There's a little bit of high elbow. I don't think it's...
I wonder if it's this elbow
now keep
right
going.
here.
But she's already fallen down.
Yep.
I mean, that's a tough call on Diana Taurasi.
Well, so much attention about the officiating leading into this game, and unfortunately they have been a little bit of a part of the story here tonight as well. Saturday, ABC has a great lineup of regional college hoops action. You'll see either Georgia Tech against Tennessee, the Volunteers of Coach Buzz Peterson. Marquette versus DePaul, or number 12 Arizona against second-ranked Stanford. That's Saturday, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. Check the local listings for the game in your area. Taurasi is on the bench.
He's not fouled out of any games this year or last year.
Zolman a quick 3. Wow. Quick catch and shoot with their momentum going to the left. Shanna Zolman gets the Lady Vols within 4.
I had a chance to talk to her yesterday's practice, Shanna Zolman, and she was talking about getting down. She said, we can't afford to keep doing that, but we know that we can come back on a team. So don't ever count us out because we have pulled together.
ESPN2's exclusive presentation of Rivalry Week is presented by Cisco Systems. This is the power of the network now.
Sean McDonough with Ann Meyers and Mark Jones, our producer Phil Dean, our director John McDonough. Delighted to have you with us from Thompson Bowling Arena, which appears to be sold out. As we look around and can't find an empty seat. That would be 23,500, the official capacity tonight. Taurasi still on the bench. And now the team up by 7. Now up by 4 after a 3 by Shanna Zolman.
Nice cut.
And a score inside by Ashley Battle.
It looked like Tennessee has just stopped Connecticut on the offensive end. Once you get into the high post and you square up to the basket, you are very effective, not only as a scorer, but as a passer, as long as somebody's cutting, and that time Battle did.
Yeah, they led by 11 in the first half. They led by 20 in their loss at Duke, their first loss of the season.
Sydney Spencer has a lot of talent, but right now, her ball handling as far as the passes that she makes entry-wise into her teammates, she has a difficult time judging the space.
Duke at North Carolina men's basketball. #1 men's team in the country against #19 North Carolina. It is subject to blackout. Strother couldn't handle the pass on the low block, and the Huskies turn it over for the 8th time.
The biggest thing for Tennessee, I think, coming down this stretch, maybe with about 3 minutes left to go, Sean, they got to turn it up. They got to bring up the intensity, and they have not gotten over the hump in this second half against Connecticut.
Shooting 63% for the half, and UConn 50%. Butts had an easy shot and missed it. That shot blocked by Turner, and she runs into the corner as the foul's whistled on her.
Well, you've got to like Tennessee's intensity as far as going after the offensive boards. I think that's another tough call on Connecticut. It looked like a clean block. There's been some clean blocks in this game by both teams, and good penetration by Tye'sha Butts. She gets a rebound. She goes back up. It's tough to tell there. But they've been solid, the Lady Vols, at the free throw line.
12 for 12. Turner's foul, her 3rd. And here comes Taurasi back in. She went out at 8:01 with a team up 7. She comes back with 6:28 left with a 5-point game. And Butts still at the line with a chance to make it 4. Free throw shooting a big part of this game. 13 for 13, now 14 for 14, while Connecticut is just 5 out of 14. Counterbalanced by the 10 3-pointers made by UConn to 5 for the Lady Vols. Crockett fouled by Zolman. Would you say this has been a real physical game? I wouldn't, and yet the whistles.
No, it feels like it is. I don't.
And that would look like a legitimate
there's
foul.
Been some good bumps in here. I mean, I don't think it's been overly physical. I've seen worse. Yeah. But I think the way the game has been called, I think it's been a little frustrating for players to try and get some rhythm into this game.
Well, it's been a real physical game, and there have been 35 fouls called in the game. We still have 6:18 to go.
You are so good with numbers.
Thank you. My job.
Oh, okay.
We have Karen here to help. Foul on Zolman was her 4th, so major foul difficulty on each side. Zolman and Robinson with 4, 3 for Ely on Tennessee side. Taurasi with 4, Moore with 4, Turner and Strother with 3 apiece. Ely a miss. Batted out of bounds. Tennessee ball. Well, check that. Connecticut ball with 6:03 to go.
Well, it's a shot that Eli's got to make. Down the stretch here, you got to start making some of these shots. I think that Tennessee did a good job breaking the press and attacking the press, but you're going to have to start making those layups.
Saw Pat summoning Ashley Robinson. She'll come back in with her 4 fouls. Conlon, Taurasi, Strother, Crockett, and Moore for Connecticut. They have 5 to shoot. Taurasi didn't get the bounce. Rebound Fluker. But had it swiped away by Crockett. And here comes Robinson back in for Fluker.
You see Taurasi setting the screen, and it's pretty tough. I mean, you're just going to get bumped. I mean, you got to know that. But then you see the shot in the neck. I mean, she's got to wear a turtleneck or some kind of brace at the neck because she gets more chops in there.
Yeah, but they don't call that. When you breathe on somebody, you block a shot cleaner than they do. And the officials wonder why everybody in the building was upset. When you've angered both coaches and players on both sides all day long, you've accomplished something.
Yeah. Well, there's another misadvantage, I think, for Lady Vols. Butts gets that deep in the lane, and she can't score.
Ticking down toward 5 minutes remaining. And Butts called for a foul as she bumped Taurasi from behind.
There's got to be a little bit of fatigue right now. Butts has been playing a lot of minutes and working her tail off guarding Taurasi.
And this could come down to a free throw shooting contest with both teams heading for the double bonus shortly. And if form holds, advantage Tennessee. As the free throw shooting from brutal tonight for Connecticut and perfect from the Lady Vols. Taurasi makes Connecticut 8 for 17 from the line.
It's amazing that this kid only takes 12 shots a game.
Gino would like to see her be a little more selfish in that regard. He has 14 tonight. I'll let you talk about that one, Annie.
I thought it was out of bounds off the
her foot, but instead a block is called.
I'm glad we can laugh. But not for these kids. I mean,
well,
again,
I would say the good thing is it's been bad both ways.
Right.
It has been fair. It hasn't been good, but it's at least balanced out.
And I would say both coaches have gotten their blood pressure up in
Yes.
this game.
You mentioned the dynamics of their personal relationship. That's
the first miss.
First miss of the night for Tennessee from the line. 14 out of 15 now. We asked Pat Summitt about it this morning. She said, we have exactly the kind of relationship Gino has worked for us to have. And she stopped. I said, none? And she said, yes, none.
Well, the fact is that both coaches absolutely respect each other as far as what they've accomplished.
Well, they are far from close. The fact they both acknowledge is Pat Summitt said we're competitors. They both have close friendships with other coaches, but and Pat said, hey, I wouldn't mind being friendly with Gino. It's just not something he seems to want. He's had other coaches over to her house during the regional finals here in Knoxville. She had Harry Peretta, the Villanova coach, and his entire team over, swimming in her pool and having a good time. And when we mentioned that to Gino, he cringed. I would never go to any coach's house I was going to play the next day. I certainly wouldn't accept a good luck tie like my buddy Harry did last year. You're trying to go to the Final Four.
Well,
taking a good luck tie.
That's right, but it has helped fuel the rivalry between these two schools. Pat Summitt has 6 national championships. Gino Auriemma, 4 national championships. They both have won numerous coaches of the years. They've won their conferences, their conference tournaments. Just numerous awards between the two. And both programs are great programs. Gino Auriemma says we don't really recruit the same kind of kids that go to Tennessee.
It's surprising. You think they would both be after the same player. Now, what is that call? Strother couldn't understand it, but she's called for a foul, and that's her 4th. So.
Can't hand check on the outside.
Wow.
How many? Are you counting?
It's the 10th team foul. They're both in the double bonus.
There was a 32 or 34 fouls at one time.
I'd have to add it up again. There are 19 in the first half. There have been 20 in this half. We're at 39 and counting.
Okay.
And they have let some of the, to me, most physical play of the night that we've seen over and over again in replays go. And then that little thing that affected nothing gets whistled.
And we've only seen about 2 or 3 fast break situations, and they've been off the turnovers in the first half by Tennessee. Connecticut stepping in. So it's been a real half-court game and a lot of stoppage because of the whistles.
Timeout Tennessee after the Jackson free throws. Back within 7. Pat Summitt became the head coach here at age 22 after a playing career at University of Tennessee Martin. That lost, but she was also a pretty good player. You played with her on the Olympic team.
Pat and I were on the Olympic team together. As a matter of fact, Julian Simpson was captain with Pat, called Pat Summitt, who got a lot of phone calls, she said, before this game coming up. Billy Moore, who was the Olympic coach, and she and Pat are very good friends. And, you know, we all stay in touch, which is great. And we all have something in common, and the love of basketball and the opportunity that we represented our country for the United States. And Pat also coached the '84 Olympic team. Gino was an assistant on the 2000 Olympic team.
How about the record for Pat Summitt in this building since it opened in 1987? 236 wins and 12 losses. Only 6 teams have ever won here. Connecticut's won 3 times. Texas 3 times. Louisiana Tech and Georgia twice each. Stanford and Auburn once each. That's it. Only 6 different teams other than Tennessee have posted victories in this building.
And all top teams. Good programs. There's a 1-2-2 zone by Tennessee. Kind of dropping a 2-3 look.
Foul trouble galore on both sides.
Good pass.
Strother playing with 4 fouls at the side of the backboard of that shot. Ely the rebound.
And this is, you know, you talk about Carol Lawson and Gwen Jackson graduating from Tennessee's team last year. You know, they were go-to players. Who's the go-to player in crunch time right now with 3.5 minutes left to go for this Tennessee team?
Jackson shot blocked by Strother. Ely charged to the bucket. And a foul in the rebounding action. And that's against Ashley Robinson. And she is fouled out. And I think she'll be the first of several. The way this is going with 3:23 left.
Well, and it's a chess match as far as free throws now at the end of this game. Do you continue putting teams on the free throw line? Connecticut has not been successful. I'd try and get Barbara Turner to shoot a free throw. Tennessee, they've missed one, but you know, if they can get to the free throw line, they've got to feel pretty confident that they can crawl back into this game. They're not out of it by any means.
Robinson fouls out with 8 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 out of 5 from the floor. Just about on her average. She averages 8.9 points per game. A senior from Grand Prairie, Texas, near Dallas.
Her sister is a freshman this year at University of Texas.
And Fluker comes back in. They don't seem to lose much there the way Fluker has played tonight. She's been outstanding, having the best game of her career.
Well, Tennessee's got the 10 players, and again, we talked about how deep their bench is, but with Lori Moore out with the ACL, there you see the foul trouble. Taurasi, Moore, and Strother all with 4, and Robinson fouling out. But, you know, Gino Auriemma, he's gone into his bench, but he's only gone, what, 8 deep. So he has a tight rotation, and he's had to use it a little bit more because of the foul trouble.
Turner just made her second free throw tonight. 71% for the year, but 2 out of 8 tonight. And 3 for 9 in a timeout. The lead back up to 9 for Connecticut. 3:23 remaining in this great rivalry with plenty of emotion.
They've made the 10-mile drive, and here come the Blue Devils, #1 in the land, getting ready to take on North Carolina. Tip-off 7 minutes after the hour for those of you not subject to blackout.
And we take a look at the ESPN2 game track as we welcome you back to Knoxville. It's brought to you by Cisco Systems. Both stars, Taurasi and Ely, quiet in the first half. Ely did not score. Taurasi at 6. They both picked it up. And Tennessee has shot very well to make a game of it after they trailed by 11 in the first half. And by 8 at halftime. Seen the deficit go back up to 9 with a recent Connecticut run. 3:15 to go. Zolman, nice pass. Fluker traveled. Here's Mark Jones.
Guys, that's exactly what Tennessee wanted coming out of that last time out. Pat Summitt looking at Brittany Jackson and Zolman saying, no jump shots unless you're absolutely wide open. We need N1 plays. We got to drive it at the basket. Back to you guys.
And then you got to have your bigs finish. You can't travel. And the turnovers have really hurt Tennessee in this game.
15 of them for the Lady Vols, only 8 for Connecticut. UConn using a lot of time. Nice move to the bucket, but Turner couldn't finish. Strother got it back. They got a fresh shot clock. They have Taurasi on the bench for a moment. And a timeout used by Gino Auriemma, perhaps to get her back in. He wanted a brief breather for her with the 4 fouls. But he didn't want to go another 30 seconds without his best player on the court.
I mean, Tennessee only has 1 loss. That was to Texas. And Texas is the only team that shot over 50%. Right now, Connecticut shooting about 42% against Tennessee. And Tennessee's defense they're playing good, but they're not playing great. And they had to come in and really take it to another level against this Connecticut team because they are a firepower as far as talked about the balance that Tennessee has. But Connecticut, you've got Taurasi, but you got a lot of the players that can score.
Duke and North Carolina men's college basketball action coming your way next year on ESPN2 as rivalry week continues, presented by Cisco Systems. Connecticut's won 4 in a row head-to-head against Tennessee and poised to make it 5 straight. Diana Taurasi talked about how Gino Auriemma has been frustrated because she's been getting mugged all year without calls. That previous play you just saw was an offensive foul from the Eagle screen against her teammate.
I have those bruises on the neck.
Did you get beat up like that when you played? And you were the Diana Taurasi of your day.
I had 5 brothers, too, so I got beat up all the time.
Taurasi back in. 2.5 to go. 13 to shoot. Strother. Double team. Went right by Fluker and Zolman and score.
Well, and Strother at 6'2", it shows your ability to put the ball on the floor and just the confidence she has to take it to the basket.
Held ball. And it's Tennessee's ball with 2:08 to go. Strother showing why she was the consensus National High School Player of the Year in 2002 out of Highlands Ranch in Colorado.
Just the confidence to blow by Fluker, and you've got to know who your defense is, and Fluker's just not quick enough to cut off that baseline.
And the Big East All-Rookie teams last year, second team preseason All-Big East this year. Zolman a miss, foul on the rebounding action.
They call that on Ashley Ballard, or Barbara Turner. Barbara Turner has great
going for a run. Where's he going? Chris Daly all the way to the end of the bench to bring him back.
Barbara Turner had inside position and saying that she grabbed Sydney Spencer's arm on the way down.
I don't know who he was running down to. There's somebody.
He was keeping his emotions. He had to, I thought he was going to run through the tunnel.
He went all the way down to the opposite end of his bench, clapping, but he looked like he was looking at somebody along press row who might be involved with the officiating. Spencer. That's her first free throw miss. 5 out of 6 from the line. 10-point game, 2 minutes to go, and the ball in the hands of the Huskies.
And Tennessee can't afford to let too much time run off the clock. They've got to make up 10 points, and they got to make it up in a hurry, too, because they have not been scoring. They've missed shots inside. Yes, Pat Summitt wants them to get it the old-fashioned way, but Connecticut just controlling the clock.
I don't understand that defense at all. You let Taurasi pound it for 23 seconds and play her one-on-one the whole way. You want to make her give it up and foul somebody else.
Absolutely.
Jackson underneath. Ely stays with the play, but it bounds off. Duke and North Carolina coming up next from the Dean Dome as rivalry week continues. And butts a foul. Her 4th. Taurasi threw the ball at the other end of the gym in the direction of Sally Bell. Airmailed her and hit one of our cameramen. She didn't mean to do that.
Now, I know if I did that, I know what would happen if I did that.
What? No.
In my day, oh boy. You know, the frustration with Taurasi, I think the way she got fouled. You know, last week she got hit in the back, and I'm sure her back is still sore. And she said before the game, she goes, it's just something I'm going to live with, Annie. I mean, it's always going to be there.
Her back since last year. It's better this year.
But she knows
it does
it's
bother
always
her from time to time, particularly on certain types of hits.
Yeah. That hit was a little high. So missed.
16 for Diana, 5 out of 6 from the line. 6 out of 7 now. Here's the largest lead for Connecticut with 1:20 to go. Timeout, Tennessee. Connecticut undefeated until early January when they lost to Duke. They lost 3 games later to Notre Dame. It was a nightmare in the state of Connecticut. What's wrong with the Huskies? But they've won 5 in a row since and about to make it 6 as we check in with Reese Davis.
All right, Sean. Moments away. Tip-off between Duke and North Carolina. Old Roy going to lead the Tar Heels. North Carolina head coach against Duke for the first time. It's coming up. Subject to blackout.
Well, I hope that's not blacked out here. I'm looking forward to going back to the hotel and watching that one.
That's right. Talking about Tennessee, though, in this game, their last win was in Knoxville back in 2001, where they won 92-88 against Connecticut. A 3-year drought.
Yeah, this is going to be 5 straight wins for the Huskies against the Lady Vols. With 3-0 are the Huskies head-to-head in national championship games. 1-1 against each other in national semifinals. They've also played in the regional final, and they could see each other again.
And look to see Connecticut to move up to number 1.
Yep.
After this week in the polls.
Duke losing yesterday. They're number 2. Tennessee number 1. Zolman leans in and misses. And the rebound down the battle. 1 minute to go. Connecticut by 12.
And the rebounding was really a difference in this game, Sean. I mean, Connecticut just controlled it. Tennessee really had a difficult time. Yeah, the fouls. I mean, both teams, as you said, they were getting called for fouls, and it was a struggle, I think, for them to get into any kind of rhythm. But Connecticut just dominated the boards. They got second chance points. Tennessee was just kind of frozen out there and never really got going. Shyra Ely, scoreless in the first half. She had foul trouble, but Connecticut had foul trouble, and she only had 3 shots in the first half.
And I think one of the great things we've seen in women's college basketball this year is parity. For so long, the very best teams seem to be quite a bit better than the rest of the pack. And now with all this maneuvering we see around number 1 and all the jockeying position in the top 10, it does seem like the playing field is starting to level off deeper into the field of teams around the country.
Well, Taurasi got her 23 points, her average against the Lady Vols, but she's picking up her 5th foul.
With 46 seconds to go. Taurasi heads out. Well, some of the entire team over there with this freebie. 18 points, right on her average. Well, that average has been coming down lately. She scored just 2 points over the weekend against St. John's. Played just 12 minutes due to the back problem. First time in 32 games she has not been in double figures. And now needs 82 points to reach 2,000 for her career. She'll do that before the season is over.
And she only fouled out of 1 game in her career so far when she was a freshman.
Well, no surprise that she'd foul out tonight with the way this game has been officiated. I would hope in the future, too, when you have marquee matchups like this, and I think it would help advance the popularity of the sport if the officials would be a little more liberal in letting them play. I mean, no one wants to sit here and watch a foul shooting contest all night. And I don't think it's been as physical as the number of free throws and fouls would indicate.
You're right. People want to come watch the players run up and down the floor, and I think the officials are trying to take control of the game, but you know, it's frustrating. This game was tough, I think, for the fans to watch, to get into it. They tried several times, but again, so many whistles being blown. Were they ticky-tack fouls? Yeah, some were, and some were, you know, some really got creamed. But, you know, frustrating game for, I think, Pat Summitt's Tennessee Lady Vols, and she's got to take this game, obviously use it as, you know, textbook as far as what they need to improve on. And they continue in the SEC. They got South Carolina coming up, and they got a tough schedule ahead of them.
And this is just their 3rd game without Lori Moore. And they had a good battle, but won by 9 at Kentucky. Barely won here at home against Auburn. Had to go to overtime. And in fact, Tennessee was down by 6 with 2 minutes to go in that game and rallied to force overtime and win it. Now they're going to lose this. So you wonder if the doubts will creep in as well. How good are we really going to be without Lori Moore? That's
right. In the long run, it's patchworking. Ball handling, 8 turnovers for Connecticut, more turnovers for Tennessee in this game.
Well, it looks like Tennessee will not intentionally foul again. With 22 seconds to go, and the outcome no longer in doubt. Emma said he's not sure how good his team is, if they're better than last year. If they play like this, they certainly have a great chance to defend their national title. Strother with the shot clock running out. And now the game clock running out. Zolman, no good at the buzzer, and Connecticut has won 5 in a row over Tennessee. Final score, the Huskies 81 and the Lady Vols 67. Now for Ann Meyers, Mark Jones, and our entire ESPN2 crew, I'm Sean McDonough saying good night from Knoxville. Now most of you will see Duke in North Carolina. Those of you in ACC country, it's ESPN News. Good night, everyone.